Hello, artist. So, welcome to my art space. Since we talked about value this week, I kind of wanted to do a video concerning value with the still lives that we're doing for our art projects next week. And kind of wanted to show you the process, kind of wanted to show you how we do shadows and how we do setups and how we do lighting on objects. And then later, I'm going to go through the drawing process that you guys are going to follow during our art class. So the still life is not necessarily for all the classes, but all the concepts are the same. So, hey, students, so as you can see, this is a still life that we're going to do during our art classes next week. Again, it may not be for your class. It depends on your grade level, but this is just an example of a still life. Okay, you can see that it's objects that are not in motion, and these are Catholic symbols that we are going to draw. And we will talk about the symbolism in our classes, but just to show you guys the setup, I'm going to pull back a little bit. And you can see how crazy it is to do a lighting setup. So I have a ladder on a table. Okay, the spotlight is rounded with cardboard box. Okay, right here, and I have a brown paper that's kind of making a small hole so it can shine a direct light towards the still life. Okay, just wanted to show you guys sometimes to get what you want, you gotta kind of go a little crazy with the setup. But I do think once I shut off the lights and I show you guys the pictures, you're really gonna find it interesting and amazing. All right. Okay, artist. So this is the still life. I kind of turned off all the lights in the room except for the spotlight. Okay, and the spotlight, the reason that I want to just keep everything off except for the spotlight is because if you have much more lighting, then it will affect the shadows and it will affect the mood. I kind of want to just have a focused light on these objects, okay? Because when we draw them, they will have a lot more impact when we add our values to our drawing. So when you make something very dark in the background and as it comes forward, you have light, it makes it much more visually interesting, okay? But as you can see with the bread over here, okay? The bread over here, as it goes around, you see that the values change, okay? So right around up here, and especially in the front of the bread, you have very high value because it's very, very light, okay? And as you go around the bread, as you go away from the light, you can see the values changing as you go down, down, and then once you get to the cast shadow right down here, those are your darkest darks, okay? Because they're completely away from the light. The light's it's hitting it a little bit, but not much, okay? Since it's away from the light and the bread is blocking it, okay? So same thing with the apple right over here, okay? You can see up here, this little white spot, that's exactly where the light is hitting it, that little shine. And as you go away from the light, you can see right here, that's probably your darkest dark right there on the apple. And as you go down to your cast shadow, where the apple is blocking the light, that is your darkest value. Okay? So as you can see from the setup and the lighting, the light goes from the brightest part. And once you start going away from the light, okay, your values change. Your values drop, they get darker. Okay, and obviously your shadows are going to be your darkest parts. Okay, so now the next video is going to be me showing you guys the drawing process, and let's have fun. Okay, for my middle school students, I wanted to go over shadows really quickly. Okay, so with the apple, it's probably the best object should show you where the shadows are and the names of them, since we studied that this week. Okay, so right up here, this is your highlights. Okay, As you go away from the light, those are your midtones. Okay? Right over here, this would be your core shadow. Okay? Right here, right on the bottom here, since the apple is a very shiny object, it gets a lot of reflected light. Okay? If it wasn't a shiny object, you wouldn't get that much reflected light. So, but since an apple does reflect a lot, it is shiny, you do get a lot of reflected light. So you got your highlight, midtones, core shadow, reflected light, and then obviously your cast shadow right there. Okay? All right, so just wanted to give you guys those terms and those names. Okay, when we do our line drawing and as we move on to our values, so you guys can start committing that to memory. All right? So the next video will be the drawing process.